ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Monday night, 8 p.m. The Online Darts Live Lounge returns. Myself, Bill Bars, Dan Simpson, and Lee Boyce is back because Jack is unavailable, boys. How are we all?
All right, chaps.
Yeah,
all right,
good.
yeah. Very good.
Doing? Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
I'm not happy that he hasn't got to see. I'm traveling. I'm working away. I've managed to rig all of my. So everyone can see, I'm not in my usual place. I've managed to rig all of my kit up in a hotel in Bolton.
I thought you'd redecorated, Dan. I'm not gonna lie.
Actually, I was thinking of doing a tour room of the hotel. We are unfortunately on the hotel Wi-Fi, so that's all I can rely on at the minute. So we'll see how well it holds up. I am, however, feeling very, very exposed because normally when I'm at home, I'm set up with lots and lots of screens so that whenever anyone starts talking about things I don't know about, I can Google really quickly and remind myself. It was set up in a hotel room. I don't have any of those luxuries, and there's a decent chance that I am exposed for the charlatan that I am. Here I can name drop. I'm in the Last Drop in Bolton. It's very nice. It's lovely.
I like that. That's good.
I'm going to struggle. Any knowledge I'm going to really struggle on tonight.
So if there's one night you're going to be exposed, it's today. I'm happy I'm here for it, Dan. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure you'll find a way to drop me in it.
We've got 2 hours to try and find it.
Yeah.
Question time already. Can we just aim it all at Dan?
Yeah, let's not do a darts quiz while I can't Google anything.
To be fair to Gob, he has got a genuine excuse. Him and his other half, Katie, are moving in to their new place today on the south coast. Got the keys today, so he is busy moving boxes and getting himself settled. I can't talk. I'm not here next Monday, but I'm in the air, so I can't get Wi-Fi up there to do it. But everyone, let's welcome in the chat room before we jump in. Owen, Dell, Bob, Kyle, Malachi, Sam, HGV, James, Freddie is in, Wayne, Daniel, Warren Johnson, what's up? Cameron, oi, oi, Bosch is in, Carl from Darts Track, I hope you are good, buddy. Good to have you in. Chris is in. I'll try not to ban you accidentally tonight, Chris, when other people are kicking off. I clicked the wrong one. KJ is in. Malachi, Sally is in. Sam, Mark, Cameron says they have hotels in Bolton. Good evening, Kieran, as well. Look, boys, it's another. Look, darts just nuts at the moment. It is literally bonkers. We had a weekend off, and it's still manic. It's ridiculous.
Well, darts is only popular for one person if interviews are correct to Mr. Bars.
Don't worry. We're going to come on to that subject earlier because Michael Smith let the cat out of the bag and I picked it up straight away. We'll come on to that later on.
It's manic because the calendar at the moment, or calendar now for the future, is so busy that when people that are weekend off from watching professional darts, there's so many exhibitions, so people are still looking out for what the results are there. People are looking elsewhere to see where they can find stores, whether it be WDF, maybe more eyes on Motor Super Series because there's no PDC to watch. It's the fascination of, even if you're not watching the sport, you're looking for it somewhere else to find a result. So when there's none on, which this is the first weekend possibly within the year where there's not been any, everyone's looking for those little snippets of information or headlines or all I'd say is exhibitions. There's been them of a plenty this weekend.
Yeah, Joel, you are absolutely right. It is the famous Mr. Phil Bars.
My text message theme that.
I'll tell you what else was funny. Obviously, I was at all the exhibitions this weekend, and we got to Armageddon on the Friday, and obviously Matt Ward had planned it because he messaged me saying, "Oh, what time are you?" I said, "I'll be here." And as I walked in, they all stood up and went and clapped and said, the famous Mr. Phil Bars is here.
I've told him, so just before we came on, Lee, I've told him that if I don't see him by the match play with a hoodie with that on the back, the famous Mr. Phil Bars on his hoodie, I'll be very disappointed in him.
I'm gonna get one made for myself with an arrow pointed that way. So I normally sit next to her in the press room.
Yeah, love that.
To be fair, Bosh, you're in. I'll give you a message. We'll design something. But look, there is only one place to start. Cameron, we'll come on to that because that's obviously part of it. Got a couple of good interviews dropping this week, people discussing that topic as well. But we know the final four for the Premier League finals that Sheffield was all about one game and one game only. The rest was completely irrelevant, and it all boiled down to best mates colliding on that hockey. And Nathan said himself in the interview that we got with him, for the first time ever, he felt it. He thought he'd be the one that handled it okay, and Smithy may overthink it, but Nathan openly admitted that he got it. He kind of got it wrong. He felt the pressure.
Yeah, and you could see that, and the performance from Michael Smith, by the way, is world class. Numbers might not say that, but in a game that's a must win, that performance is sensational. The bit that worried me, obviously not being on previous weeks, the bit that worried me is before we played Michael Smith in week 15, when he's talking about, he was asked by Polly, I want to say, about how important the game is. And he downplayed it to say, it's not important for me, it's important for Michael. Well, that then just put so much pressure on himself for them week 16, for which made it a decider. Michael was outstanding, like I says, he was world class. But it is worrying that Nathan Aspinall, for me, hasn't got into that playoffs, because the form he produced in the match play and the form we've seen from him on TV. Yes, we know his Pro Tour record hasn't been great over a large period of time from not being in the Players' Championships and missing events. But him not being in that playoffs at the start of the season is a huge disappointment.
I think it was just that we saw, and whilst Nathan didn't get it right, and I think he said that as much as it was very apparent to see watching it, and Nathan didn't get it right. He didn't. What we did see though was a really, really professional, composed performance from Mike. His scoring wasn't, let's say, vintage Michael Smith. Michael Smith at his best, still averaged 100, but 6 out of 8, 75% on his doubles, just showed a composure that when it really mattered, it didn't get to Smith at all. And he was able to just put in that very, very professional, saw the finish line in sight, knew exactly what he needed to do, kept his opponent at bay, hit virtually everything on the outer ring. Really, really good performance from Smith, in just in terms of that level of composure that we saw from him. Aspinall wasn't terrible, but that was not a performance that justifies a spot in the final four. And the thing is, with a league phase, you are the sum of your entire season. And I know we say that on the edge of the end of the football season's all coming to bear and everything else. You are the sum of your entire season. And if Nathan had put it together slightly better at different points in the Premier League phase earlier on, he's had 16 weeks to claim that spot. It's not all about one night. He's had 16 weeks to get there. And it was only a matter of 4 or 5 weeks ago when Nathan was sat in third place and we were talking about Michael Van Gerwen being under threat. And he's allowed that over a period. It hasn't happened over. It hasn't happened. He hasn't lost that spot in one night. It's happened over a period of weeks.
Well, the running shows that the last 6 weekly events, Nathan Aspinall's only got past the quarterfinal twice.
Yeah.
Michael Smith's won 5 out of 6. That just shows at this time of the year in the Premier League season, one player's come into this week in form and he's turned up. Yes, he went on further. Spoiler alert, he went on further and won the night, which meant very little apart from the money. But it's that form, and Aspinall's form has dropped drastically from, like you said, Dan, in a position he was in the playoffs. He was a certainty to be in the playoffs.
Well, we were a few weeks ago.
He's just thrown that away himself.
A few weeks ago, we were sat talking, and we were saying, well, Aspinall is another first night win away from or like for almost from us all just assuming he's there, from us just saying it's a 2-horse race for 4th spot, and he was 1 for, and then he didn't. That qualification hasn't been lost on one night against Michael Smith. Yes, he had the opportunity to get it and wasn't able to capitalize on it, but he didn't lose it in one night. He lost it over a period of 16 weeks. That's how leagues work.
100%. And you look at the 2 games that he spoke about in the interview as well that he almost pinpointed. I think he was 5-2 up against Luke Littler in Liverpool. It was either Liverpool or Manchester. He was 5-2 up against Luke and lost. And he should have beat Smithy last week. I think they're the 2 that you look at more than ever. I don't know, there's a recency bias because we can remember those vividly as well. But if you look at those 2, they're the 2 that he will be kicking himself. Just out of interest, Big Johnny and Bob, I've starred your comments around Aspinall and the Premier League. We'll come on to them later on in the Premier League segment, but I have seen them and have starred them because they are good points as well. But just the way Smith held it together, the 1-3-6 and the 1-3-2 were just exquisite. They were showmanship, but it was also showmanship controlled in pressure moments as well. And I wasn't sure Michael Smith had that composure in the locker at the moment, being that he's on a bit of a roller coaster of a season. He's defending an awful lot of money, as we know, and he's played himself into the Michael Smith that we were seeing just before he won the Grand Slam, where he's taking out big moments when it matters.
It was just very composed. It was very sure and very composed. And you're right, we've not seen it for some time, but we know he's got it. You know, it's not a surprise that Michael Smith's played like that. It's just a surprise that we don't quite know when it's going to turn up at the minute. For a period of time, we almost knew that, 7 times out of 10, that was the Michael Smith we were going to get. Now we get that Michael Smith maybe 3 times out of 10. And so when he finds it in big games on the telly and not just on a Pro Tour or Euro Tour, then it's all the more jarring when you see it and you think, oh God, yeah, there he is. He's back. He's got that. It'd be very interesting to see if he can carry that into Thursday, because the signs that we saw from him in the way that he was able to approach it and work his way through legs in a very composed and measured way could be very, very beneficial if he can maintain that into Thursday. He's very dangerous.
And just on that one point you said, Phil, Michael Smith has always had this in the locker. It's just the key part of that was at the moment we haven't seen enough of that from him since he became world champion. And I'm not saying he's back to that form, and I agree with your point. He's certainly not in that form of he was when he became world champion. But this is probably what we expected to see from Michael Smith in the Premier League last year, this sort of performance on the back of the confidence of world champion. So it's a positive sign. He's just in a very tricky situation this Thursday. But we've seen it many a times with Premier League finals nights. The league table doesn't really matter now at all.
Nope.
And that's the situation that Aspinall will be kicking himself for. But Michael Smith just sees it. I'm 2 games now away from being Premier League champion, as is the other 3 players. Situation that he wasn't expected to be in 2 weeks ago. So kudos to Bully Boy for that.
Yeah, interesting. Before we go on and look at the rest of it, and we've got some clips to play, some other topical bits from the quarterfinals. MVG, we had an equipment change after we dissected the MVG action throw and everything last week. We did see an equipment change, went back to the darts that he won the 2020 UK Open with. And as soon as I saw them, I went back and looked through the stats of that UK Open and actually forgot how flipping good he was during that UK Open.
Sorry to jump in here on that, Phil. Are they the darts he won that with, or are they a version of? Are they a new version of those darts? The
darts.
Oh, right, okay. I did because they look, but sometimes it looks can be deceiving, especially with Michael's darts. Is that I think he's throwing something he's thrown before. Actually, it's a slightly tweaked version, or it's a. But if they're the actual ones, he's picked them back up again. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and they are heavier. They're almost 23 grams, 22 point, high 22 point whatever. So for us mortals, 23 gram, all bar the shouting. And interestingly, we were saying last week how his miss was low because the action wasn't working. On Thursday, his miss was high. And we saw that. We were at 105.70 against Rob. And yes, he's lost to Luke Humphries, but he's averaged 101.5. So positive signs for MVG that he understands that, yes, look, there is an issue, but he's putting it right. And the first thing that I clocked as well on Thursday was Vincent was there. You know, when Vincent's there, he means business because he's been working on stuff and things like that.
It looked, and I bow to anyone that, because I'm a bit of a happy amateur in terms of analysing actions and throws, but it did appear that what we've seen with this change in his throw, certainly through the Premier League campaign, almost sees him fighting against it. And it's like something's happening with his throw, and he's been fighting against it and trying to put it right mid-game. And what it felt like, certainly in that open game, like monstrous average, came out and looked absolutely incredible. But he seemed to almost embrace the new throw a little bit and like lean into it that bit. It seemed all the more set in that this new throw was happening. Do you think that's the thing? Do you think he's accepting the natural evolution of his throw rather than trying to fight against it?
I think so. Look, there are still tweaks that need to be made, but it was encouraging signs from MVG this week with the equipment, and he used them again all weekend at the exhibition. So I fully expect to see them at the O2 and potentially going forward, unless we get another complete new dart at some point. But I fully expect to see them in immediate short term. Gob is in the chat room. How you doing, buddy? Hope the move is going all right.
And I'll get back to work.
And
boxes to be carried and things to be unpacked. You get working like
he's got Katie lugging boxes. Well, he says,
what I mean, you
got
what
from the van.
There, lasses carrying boxes backwards and forwards in the van. He'd be sat on the toilet on his phone watching us.
Yeah, he might as well be at a Monday wedding, hadn't he?
The other one was Gerwin Price, and again, the last couple of legs, the white towel was being waved. The tap out was there for all to see. Those last couple of legs against Luke.
Really, really weird game.
It's frustrating to see. It's frustrating to see when someone does that, especially with the talent that we know Price has got. And more so, I guess, sometimes with the Premier League, because the amount of time, effort, media time that players do in torting themselves into a Premier League. You ask any tortard holder and they want to be there. As frustrating as it is, and you always mention it, Fullers being the second biggest or third biggest after the match play. How many players want to be in his position, and then he's waving the white flag to the tournament, but mid-game just doesn't sit right, unfortunately.
It was weird because he came out, but he lost the ball, then broke, like immediately, lost the ball, then broke, world number one, world champion. Hawes goes 2-0 up. He's properly in the game. Like, lost the throw for, was it 3-all? I think he lost the throw. Humphries leveled up 3-all. And then that was it. Like, he was just going through the motions after that. But he was in that game. It wasn't like he didn't turn up. It just sort of, I don't know, maybe Luke lifted his game. Luke came in a bit cold. And those first couple of legs wasn't really himself. You know, we weren't seeing the Luke Humphries that we love to see, those first couple of legs. But like at 3-all,
yeah, exactly. And who is it? We've got did the DRA investigate Price for lack of effort? Possibly. It genuinely wouldn't surprise me if there's a conversation there. It really wouldn't. Bob, I haven't seen the Matt Edgar video yet, but he was telling me about it. Bob says, Price's Dart and legacy quickly becoming a sore loser who won the Worlds without a crowd. There are question marks around him right now. Look, he has the potential to go and be one of the all-time greats of the sport. But right now, you have to question what's driving Gerwyn Price.
Well, that's the point, is whether or not he actually wants to be. Like, the potential is one thing, but actually wanting it, not even then having the implementation or, or being able to develop that potential into something. But whether or not you actually want to do it. I've got the potential to run a marathon. It's very unlikely I'm going to be asked to do it.
And the biggest part of that, Dan, I know you're joking on the marathon. Well, maybe not. But the part of that is, especially from a professional sportsman, it's the desire. It's that desire to want to go on and push yourself. You looked at Michael van Derwin is a good example of him winning a world championship wasn't enough. It was, how many am I going to win? How am I going to be better than Tyler? I need to drive myself towards that to be the best ever. Has Price got that ambition? Has he got that drive to be the best ever?
I think the saddest thing about it, and it sounds, and this is probably going to sound a lot harsher than it I mean it to sound. I just haven't got other words to make it sound better. Is that it's a lack of pride, like whether or not it's whether or not he cares about going on stage and having a match, being competitive and putting a show on and take it like that's his job. There's a great deal of pride to be taken in a day's work, and no matter what you do for a living. And it seems from the outside like he's lost like the pride in a day's work. Like he doesn't have that anymore. It doesn't bother him.
This is a multi-sports person we're talking about. This is someone who's done from one sport of ultra competitiveness to another one. It's just strange that we question that.
I agree.
Or is it his desire in the sport? Because we know he's not someone who does it for financial reasons. Because he's got a lot of property.
He's invested his money very, very well.
It's not. He doesn't do it for financial reasons. Yes, obviously it's a bonus if you can do and pick up 600k to World Championships. But it's just, what is that driver for him? What is the desire for him to go and pick up them darts? Then knowing he can leave the sport as a world champion, he can leave the sport as a multi-major champion. He can leave the sport today. So what is it that's driving him to do that? And driving him to continue playing in the Premier League, because it's not been a happy home for him at all.
It hasn't, but it's only 16 weeks since he said yes to it. Like if this wasn't for him and it wasn't where he was at and wasn't what he wanted, like 16 weeks is not a very long time. And is this something that's happened in the last 16 weeks? Because if it hasn't happened in the last 16 weeks, then I would question why he didn't own it at the time. If he's not financially motivated and he's not this, then why didn't 17 weeks ago? Why didn't he say, actually, the lad from Newcastle probably deserves that spot?
You didn't deserve the spot, Dan. But it's not that decision to make for this year. I think we all know the politics behind it all. If someone says no to the Premier League this year, the likelihood of them being back in it year after that becomes very, very slim. So it's got to be a long-term view, not just a 16-week view of saying yes or no. I think we've seen that with someone else who said I would turn down the Premier League, but now playing in the Premier League.
Well, here's one though. So, my apologies, I can't remember who brought it up earlier. But at the moment, he's not in the top 4 in the world at the turn of the year. Yes, he may be in there. But if he's not in the top 4, is there now a genuine question to be had whether he gets an invite stroke pick when he's been so vocal and so anti the Premier League?
Well, it depends what he wins, because it'd be right within his sort of mark in the game to go and win the Grand Prix or something, won't it?
100%.
And that's the thing is we can't predict what he's going to do in darts between now and then. If he doesn't win a major or get to the final of a major between now and then I don't think you can make the case for him outside the top 4 where he'll be in the world without carrying a title. Because with him having not winning those titles and being in the top 4, other people will just have a more justifiable claim because if he doesn't win those, other people will be able to say, "Well, I'm wandering around this trophy in my hand. Why aren't I in there?" But he's got it in him, like because we know how good he can be to just go and win something in the back end.
It's the thing on his day, he's absolutely unplayable.
But it's weird right now. I find it difficult not to see a Premier League with Derwin Price in, even next year. And I know how he's talking about it because you look at that bottom 4, and did you expect Littler to be in the Premier League next year? You expect Humphries, Smith, MVG. You expect them 4. You look at the bottom 4, and you always think Rob Toss is someone who's got to do something special. Or
he's going to be top 4. Not if he's top 4.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If he's not in the top 4, he's got to do something special to be in the Premier League. Aspinall's in there because of his match play win. So he's got to do and pick something up. Yes, Aspie's you a bit more. Peter Wright, I wouldn't expect to see in the Premier League then. It'd be very strange to see 4 new names in the Premier League, which makes me think Derwin Price will still be in that mix.
Joel, that's changed from. I've just got to look. Yeah, he's 2 a grand and a half inside. They're flip flopping at the moment. He was outside last week. He's just having. But I'm intrigued because also before we go on, here we have it. That Michael Smith is on the 2025 poster, yet he is provisionally wild number 16.
I would be inclined to read absolutely nothing into any poster made this far in advance.
Okay, I'll throw this one up there. When they first put the 2025 poster up in venues, it didn't have Luke Littler on it. Within 2 weeks, Luke Littler was added to that 2025 poster.
That's for different reasons, the Luke one. However, I think we have seen over years posters predominantly are filled with the players who are in there. I don't envisage a Premier League next season without Michael Smith. Even if he doesn't pick up a title this year, I still don't envisage a Premier League without Michael Smith.
I don't, and I think primarily, and I think you made a good point, Lee, when you said about the potential of having 4 new players in the Premier League. It's unheard of, to have a huge shift in personnel. And I think of those that will probably be in the top 4 at that stage, I think Michael Smith let's be honest, Michael Smith could make a final this week. He could win it. And then he's on the poster. Then he's in. Then he's definitely there if he wins it. But I just think there's so much to play for. I think, and I've said it a lot, there is so much movement and potential shift around in that top 10. There's players in that top 10 that have the potential to win something that could stake a claim. And I can't see it. I normally can check, but I'm fairly certain Damon Hetter's around 6th in the provisional order. Now, if Damon Hetter, position 6th in the world, makes a final, I'm not even saying he has to win something. Damon's got a massive claim at the Premier League. But I think those spots are the Peter Wright spot, the Gezi Price spot. I do think Smith is in there, but I just don't think. I think that's purely because I don't think there's enough spots up for grabs that that he will be sacrificed. It could be carnage though, the Premier League, because you could have 4 or 5 different major winners to come this year.
I just don't see how they can keep it with 8 next year, looking at 1, how the rankings look, 2, the potential spread of TV tournaments this year, and 3, the potential fan favourites stroke ticket sellers that aren't as high as what they should be to justify a pick.
Do you think there's some security in experience, isn't there? In that, so you say ticket sellers, some of these people haven't had a chance to sell tickets yet.
No, agreed.
So like Damon, and I go back to Damon Hetter as an example, only because I spoke about him a sentence or two ago. You can say, right, well, Peter Wright sells loads of tickets. Well, we don't know that Damon Hetter isn't going to sell loads of tickets, do we? We've never done it.
We don't.
He's never been and sooner or later, someone's going to put their big boy trousers on and take a roll of the dice on these. They took a roll of the dice on Luke Littler this year, and it fucking worked. Like, big time worked. But let's be honest, rewind 16, 17, 18 weeks when that decision was made, it was a roll of the dice. I don't care what anybody says. It was a roll of the dice for everyone concerned, for the PDC, for Luke, for his management team, for his family, for everyone. Nobody quite knew how that Premier League was going to work out at the time before it happened. And I think there's a naivety. Yes, the periods worked a lot, but to point at people in the Premier League who keep being there and say they're the ticket sellers, I just think there are other potential big ticket sellers to be established. And wise people, like I know the PDC are in their branding, will look to create more ticket sellers, more people who can sell tickets.
I disagree. I think that's something they don't do well enough anymore. Is build at the moment. I don't think they build the next characters and the next generation well enough at the moment. I genuinely think that's one thing they used to. I fully agree, but over the last 2-3 years, I think that's something that they haven't done well enough.
Do you not think they'll learn from this year, though?
Possibly.
I think they've got an opportunity this year, Dan. When I say this year, sorry, going into next year's Premier League. I don't think the 8 players need to be picked on ticket sellers or crowd pleasers, because right now you've got Luke Littler. You've got the effect of Luke Littler that will carry into next year's Premier League.
You can't sell any more tickets. You can't get a ticket.
Yeah, I think Luke is going to maximise the quickness of the sales. We've seen it with Match Play, Grand Prix. I'm sure we'll see it with a Slam in June. I'm sure I saw those on sale in a few weeks. Luke Littler's at the minute doing that. Where with the Premier League, they've got an opportunity. One, and I agree with both of you. One, to sort of remove we need to get the fans' favourites. We could be in a position where we get the 8 in form or as close as we can there. And secondly, to your point, Phil, that's a perfect opportunity to promote the next generation. Because the attention's all on Luke.
Yeah.
But Luke can't have all the media attention. But why not try and incorporate a different approach to look at, we haven't seen a lot of Josh Roth from a media perspective, from a promotion point of view. And look where he went when it shot and then it just dropped in regards to that TV exposure. He's one of plenty that we do it about, and they have that spell and then they disappear. The next gen should certainly be a thing that they look at.
You make a really, really interesting point, Lee, and I hadn't thought of it until you said it. Like, why they don't need to sell tickets next year? It's like they don't need to make all the PDC need to do to sell tickets to the Premier League next year is announce the dates.
Yeah,
and then they're sold.
That I don't disagree, and I agree that obviously Chris has said it's massive, but I was speaking to one of the PDC guys in the he's head of marketing, does all the ticket sales. So everyone knows how shit Leicester looked on TV from a ticket point of view last year. Bearing in mind, I spoke to him on Thursday. He said in the first 3 days of Grand Prix sales, they were up 25% on the whole of last year's numbers in 3 days.
That's why you don't need to worry about putting Peter Wright in to sell you tickets.
And the Grand Prix is over 7 sessions, I want to say off the top of my head. There's a potential that Luke Littler only plays in 1. The Premier League is guaranteed to be at that night. You're guaranteed to see him in action. From a sales perspective, I don't know, unless they change the format and we go to some wild card, which they're not going to do. Every player will play who's picked. I don't see how it doesn't sell. So for me, it opens up this window of can we look at a different way of pitting our rate, however that may be.
Spoiler alert, we've got an interview with Wayne, probably coming out tomorrow. He named how he changed the format. Spoiler alert, that's coming out tomorrow.
I don't think we should change the format. I like the format. I am, and I remain the only person that likes the format. I quite like it. I don't dislike it at all.
Daniel.
Right,
I haven't got a problem with it. I've enjoyed it both in person and on the television for a couple of years, and I quite enjoy it. If you all just accept it for what it is, it's an exhibition of some lads playing darts on the telly, and it's quite fun. It's a good format.
Right, we've got some clips to play. Well, first of all, we've got 2 Michael Smith clips. I'll play them back to split them in 2 because to fit them in the back. I'll play them back to back and then we'll discuss.
I'd gone after the first game. As soon as I won that, I think you've seen it playing Littler. Obviously I wanted to put on a show with the crowd, but I just had nothing. And then until he had the 155, you bet treble 20, then with treble 15, it kind of gave me that little kick up the backside that I needed. And I checked the 156 out, and then it didn't get much prettier after that, but I managed to get the win, and obviously then going against Luke Humphries, and yeah, got my second night win. I think you've seen after Nathan, I think I cried more beating Nathan than I did win the Worlds, and that was one of them. When I won the Worlds, it was a relief. Tonight when I beat Nathan was passion, and it was hard work, but it's up there. I'll probably put it in. Well, I won the Worlds. Grand Slam would be top. Worlds will be second because Grand Slam was my first major, and then I'd probably put Phil third. But then tonight I'll probably take over the Phil match in 2013, so it's in the top 3. Nathan, I'd love Nathan coming with me next week, and I think I said it on the Sky preview before tonight. I've got 3 friends in the top 4 with me now, with Luke and Michael, but I'm missing out on one of my best friends with Nathan, and I'm just gutted it was me that took him out. I'd rather me and him go, and it was one of them things. He just got a hold of it and all of the emotions, and he's such a nice kid, and I wanted him to be with me, and he was one of them. The emotions just took over though. Doubter, the kid's unreal, so I doubt it. He proved it going into the world, into Bahrain. He's 2 Europeans. He's pro tour. He won't think anything else. He's 17. He don't get. I don't want to swear, but he don't give a crap. He just has no care in the world, and it's us that's thinking about it, just trying to punish him. And I think I say in every interview, no matter if I beat you the week before or beat you 7 times before, it's what happens next week. And I know Little will be thinking the same, and I'll be thinking the same. I won't be thinking about 5 night wins against him. I'm thinking about the semi-finals. That's all both of us will be thinking next week. You can put me outside if you want. I love being outside because there's no pressure on me. I get to relax, but I've been saying it. I think the top 4 players this year, it needed me in it instead of Aspinall, because it's Luke v Michael, Michael v Luke. It could have been Luke v Michael, Michael v Nathan. So on a selling point of view, as an advertisement, it's the last 2 world finalists, and we go head to head. And if I'm not favourite, we'll see what happens next week. I don't have nothing apart from 1 star. That's always that we have different. I have a world championship, he doesn't. That's always that's different. He's got probably better ability than me. He doesn't have a better throw than me. I think I've got the best throw going around, but everything else, his head, everything. He's such a nice kid, but hopefully that nice kid goes out the window next week, and yeah, I win. But everything else, he's amazing. He's pushing the PDC even further. All the boys. There's a few that are getting upset with it, but listen, my pockets get full every time he gets mentioned, so it's the best way ever going, and we look after him. He's like I say, he's a really nice kid.
I'd love to know who's getting the hump. He obviously wouldn't say, but he gets it. The bigger the sport is, regardless of who's pushing it, the more money he's getting paid.
And if you don't understand that, good luck to you in the rest of your life. Because you're going to struggle. Because if that is, I mean, it's, you can't be a darts tour card holder and objectively not just understand that what's happening with the Luke Littler effect is better for every single dart player, tour card holder and non-tour card holder in the country. Because it's simply, there are more eyes on darts, which means there's more money in darts, which means there's more money to go around for everyone. It means there's more sponsorships, more TV money. It means like everybody's life is better within darts for having Luke there. Yes, it's fine to be pissed off if he beats you, but if it wasn't him, it'd be Michael van Gerwen or somebody else, wouldn't it? So like, there's always going to be someone better than you, but he is actually like putting bread on the table for everybody else at the minute.
I like this comment.
I've even got, because they've even given me the bottle of mineral water and the little cup and everything in there.
How are we doing, Rob? Hope you're good, mate. And off the back of it, look, at the exhibitions, we managed to get Nathan Aspinall. Look, obviously, didn't get to speak to him straight after on Thursday, but he walked in and I was there. His exact words were, "For fuck's sake, you had to be here, didn't you?" He was laughing when he said it. But we got some words from Nathan, and here we go.
Missing out 2 years in a row.
It's fine now. 2 hours, for the first 2 hours after the game, I was pretty grim. Luckily it was Sheffield, so I was only 40 minutes away from my house. But yeah, listen, I shouldn't have put myself in a position to go down to the final week. I'd had opportunities. I should have beat Luke Littler one game. I should have beat Smithy last week, if I'm deadly honest with you. But credit where credit's due. Michael played fantastic last night. The 1-3-6, the 1-3-2 he took out against me were unbelievable shots, and everyone knows me and Michael are good mates, and I texted him straight away after the game saying congratulations. He handled it better than me. I thought he would feel the pressure and I wouldn't. If I'm going to be deadly honest with you, I felt it last night. I really did. I think I put too much pressure on myself. I think I've been in the top 4 for the last 8 weeks. Michael hadn't. I felt like Michael had nothing to lose. I had everything to lose. But listen, I think I've not seen the interview, but I've been told of many people that he was close to tears last night.
Well,
he was, and we are really. These last 4 months, me and Michael have become really, really close. And when I'm playing him last night, I want to beat him, of course I do. But he beat me fair and square, and I wish him all the best. I want Michael to go and win it. Simple as that. He's a great guy. He's a class act on and off the hockey. But he has gave me some tonight. That's all I'm saying. As Van Geren has as well.
I thought he spoke really, really well.
He certainly seems to have embraced, and he's that sort of guy, isn't he? And he is Nathan, someone who does. He's a fighter, and he does come through it, and we can all just hope that he continues that, and that we don't see him get the jitters the next time he plays in a game with a lot riding on it.
Yeah. Interesting though, I've started this one as well whilst we're talking about Aspinall, but all the issues he had last year, and then on the Darts show, he actually mentioned the dreaded D word, that he said the dartitis started, which was interesting because he played it down and down and down last year. And I get it, you don't want to think, but also that also fills me with a lot of confidence that he's now comfortable and can talk about it.
Yeah, it's the horrible side of the game, isn't it? When anyone suffers with it and struggles with it, and there's no surprise to hear that Nathan has had his struggles with dartitis. There's always a lot of questions about when he steps back and regrips, if that is dartitis or is it a gripping issue. So there's no real surprise that Nathan's had that previously, but the fact he's now open to talk about it, clearly got over it or getting over it because he feels free to talk about it, and still a world-class darts player. Whatever's happened in the past few weeks, he's still a world-class player. There's pros and cons to it. I get that, Phil. We don't want it in the sport. It's just one of them mental things that, unfortunately, some players do touch that, and it's horrible to see or feel. But he's a class act. To even talk to you a few days after that's happened.
It was less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
In the way that he did as well.
That, when, let's be honest, He would have been well within his rights, as you know he would, to say, and you would have understood that at that time for him to say, it's not right for me to speak right now. I've done a few weeks where I'm not going to be in front of a camera. Yes, I'm going to be doing exhibitions on it, but for him to come out and do that, and it's just difficult that it's his mate. But for him to now go on and be a Michael Smith supporter for a week, it's good to see for the sport. It's just always going to be a worry every time Aspinall takes to the stage around that grip, around that dartitis, which it is, or are we going to see? But he's faced it many times, and the majority of the time he's got the better of that.
So all eyes now on the O2 in London this Thursday evening. Luke Littler will take on Michael Smith. Luke Humphreys will take on Michael Van Gerwen. Before we go, yes, Rob, you are absolutely right. Right, boys, let's dissect finals night.
Right, I'm looking to see if I've still got my picks from.
So,
I don't think I
first semi-final will be Luke Littler against Michael Smith. Bully Boy, one of a handful of players that has a positive head-to-head against Luke Littler. And do you think that has any bearing on this, or is this all on one night?
I picked him on Thursday on the Fallout Bar to beat him. I think the composure that we saw from Smith the other night, he's allowed to maintain that, and he allows himself to maintain that composure, knowing how that head-to-head record stands and how he's previously come through against Littler. And I think Littler only beats Smith if we see one of those absurd, 107 average performances from Littler. I think if Littler turns up and plays decent, Smith's composure will get the job done.
I don't see that way, Dan. Luke Littler's done into 16 Premier League nights, and he's only lost in the first game 3 times. The form of someone over that period of time, yes, it's a London game. The fact he's 17 years old makes me think he's not sitting right now worrying about a head-to-head record against anyone.
I don't think Luke's worried about it.
As much as I think it's a positive in Smith's head,
That's it.
I don't think it's a negative in Littler's.
No, I agree, actually, yeah.
I think Littler's not worried about that at all. I can't see Littler not progressing unless he doesn't turn up. I think his A game, which we've seen plenty of times, especially in the first game in the Premier League, is a real possibility of being there on Thursday. But I actually think his B+ game still probably beats Michael Smith on Thursday because he's that good. And I think Littler wins to about 7. But I don't see it being one-sided throughout the whole game. I think it'll be one of them that will be tighter to bet halfway mark, and then we'll see Littler just find another deal. So I'm going to go to 7, Littler win.
Yeah, I agree. I've changed my mind numerous times on this because I can see both winning, if that makes sense, in different scenarios. That I think Michael Smith will play at a level for the whole game. I just think it's how big Luke's peaks are going to be and for how long they are. If he puts in one of those supercharged 5-leg bursts, he takes the game away from Michael Smith. But it's producing that burst at the right time. He doesn't want to do it at the beginning of the match because now the format goes up, it gives your opponent time to work their way back in. Where in the league stage of this, you want that from the off. You have to hit the turbocharge button early. But from here, you kind of want that little blitz, if you're going to have it, from somewhere halfway onwards. And another interesting thing is there's 2 ad breaks in these semi-finals. One after 5, one after 10, then through to the finish. It's if that turbo blitz for either of them, because they both got it in them, comes at the wrong time. If you put 2 legs together, bang, you're hit by an ad break. Where ideally you want that probably after 10, because you know you're on stage then till the very end. So there's a lot of complex things in this game to think about for both players. For me, because it is about timing. It really is in this game. But I'm edging towards Michael Smith. I just think that Littler's blitz may come at the wrong time. And I think Smith's consistency, knowing how to produce those peaks when he needs to, may just get him over the line this one. I think it'll be close, but I'm going to go 10-8 to Michael Smith.
I had a 10. I'm trying to recall what I picked on the Fallout the other night. I'm pretty sure I went 10-7 Smith for many of the reasons that you just explained, Phil. And I think that the way I could put it into a sentence is, I think that Luke, whilst his peak is so very high, and there is no one that I enjoy watching as much as him when his peak is high, I think he peaks and troughs. And I think that he has the potential to peak and trough across that longer format. And it is an if, like it's just if all these things align, this is what I think will happen. If the Michael Smith we saw last week turns up, what I expect is for him to hit a level fairly early in the game and maintain it throughout the game. His average might go up a point, it might drop down a point, but I expect him to hit a level and stick with it. And I think Luke will peak and trough. And you can peak and trough at key parts of the game. You can peak and trough. You can peak on your own throw and trough on someone else's, and you're all right. If you peak on someone else, and I just feel like he has the potential to maybe give a leg away that he won't want to if he's not on it. And Smith's consistency might just drag him through.
Yeah, but it's a real intriguing matchup in the first semi-final.
It's a fascinating game. It's the one that I'm the most excited about of the 2, I think.
TK Shot, I agree. He will be favourite, and he has been better than Bully Boy since the World Championships. But in the last month, Bully Boy has been better than Luke Littler.
I'm sat here right now surprised that out of the 3 of us, I'm the only one who's done with Littler.
Yeah, I can make.
And I've bigged up Michael Smith when we was talking about the Aspinall dames as he's run. He's done what Luke Littler aimed to do from the start. Just step past quarter-final, that past quarter-final. Yeah. Michael Smith's done that the past 6 weeks, apart from one. It's a very intriguing. Both semi-finals are very intriguing, which is weird to say when there's 11 points between Smith and Littler, and there's probably even more tweets though. Smith's form has made this now a more difficult pick. I just think Littler's got too much for Michael Smith at the minute, even though Smith's getting better.
Second semi-final. Now, this is a really interesting one because if you probably looked at every stat going, I think everyone will say Luke Humphries wins this game. But actually, after what I saw on Thursday, I actually think this could be a belter of a semi-final.
I'm inclined to disagree. Only because I think it's going to be a monster job from Humphries. I think we've been saying for weeks in the Premier League. What we did see for weeks in the Premier League was a very average Luke Humphries. Weeks and weeks we saw a very average Luke Humphries. Week after week turning up and averaging 98, which for him is very average. for what we're used to seeing from him in the back third of last year. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, Euro Tour included, he seems to have found that magic, that ability to just tip up and average 107 and to find 9 darters in big games. And I think he's on it. And whilst we did see one big performance in that 105 average from MVG at last Thursday, I think that this is a Luke. I can't see past Luke Humphries turning up and beating MVG. I think I went 10-5. I think it's a big win for Humphries.
See, I think this is from a consistent quality perspective, this is the semi-final, because I think Michael does turn up to Luke's level. I think the first semi-final will see moments in the game, but this semi-final for me delivers throughout. I think Michael will get to the same levels as Luke. I just think I still have Luke to win, and I still think Luke will get the better of Michael 2-8. I think it'll go 18-19 lads, because MVG will turn up. I just think Luke's got the better of him at the moment, and Humphries will get over the line. But I think this is the high quality semi-final that will get from the 2 games. So Humphries 10-8.
I just, before this week, I'd agree. I thought I would have said Humphries comfortably, but I just think the change in MVG mentality wise as well. There was a different. He was just different on Thursday. Vincent was there, and they were up practicing at 10 in the morning. I haven't seen Michael work this hard for a long time.
It could be a masterclass, Phil, but it all equally could be a little bit too late in regards to he's not had the week.
Yeah, is it? You haven't seen him work this hard for a long time because he hasn't had to. He has to now.
Yeah.
Also, I go back to last year's final, and we were probably sat here, probably saying exactly the same thing. That 1, Michael wasn't playing very well, and 2, he had a shoulder injury. There's no way he could win the Premier League. And he went to the O2 and produced a masterclass on the night that only MVG does. When you write him off, he beats Michael Smith 10-8, averaging nearly 102, and then he demolishes Gerwyn Price, averaging 105.5. Would I be surprised if he does something similar? No. I'm not saying he wins. I'm not saying those numbers are enough this year, but could I see him there producing something along those lines again? Absolutely. And I've just had a look at Humphries. I've gone back a few nights. So Humphries has averaged 94, 94, a ton, 92, 99, 99. Then the Whopper 109, 102, 99, 93, 104, 95. That's quite a big range in terms of, yes, we've got a high and a stunning 109, 104, 102. But ultimately, we've got a couple of 92s and 93s in there as well.
Yeah.
So, although, yes, look, Luke Humphries has played magnificently during this Premier League.
It's got a lot of average stuff.
There's also chinks in there. And the semi-final this week, when you look at it, and it says Luke Humphries beat Michael van Gerwen 6-3, and probably you'd think that was fairly comfortable. But I remember, I think there was 2 finishes. I think it was a 116 and a 1-2 something that Luke took out when Michael was sat on either a single dart finish or a comfortable combination, like a 56, 52, something like that. Don't get me wrong. That's what Luke Humphries does. They're world-class darts. But there's only so many times you can go to the well and they get hit. At some point, you're going to miss them. Same as everyone, not just Luke Humphries, by the way. This is everyone. That you're not always going to take out these combination finishes time after time after time. And
the struggles that we've seen, and again, I think we're not quite seeing how settled Michael is with, his action and his darts and everything else. Do you think the slightly longer format plays better or worse into that?
I think it's better for him because if say he's behind 6-4 at the second break, he still hasn't got to panic because he's got time. I think the longer format plays to Michael Van Gerwen's strengths. Don't get me wrong; it also plays to Luke Humphrey's strengths as well. Completely, I'm not arguing that at all. Which is why I genuinely think it could be an absolute blockbuster of a semi-final because I can see it again. I can see both outcomes, and this semi-final for me all depends on what version of Michael Van Gerwen turns up. If it's the below par Michael Van Gerwen, I think Luke Humphries runs away with it. But if it's the on par Van Gerwen that we saw against Cross, putting Humphries under constant pressure, I genuinely think we could have one of the best semi-finals we've seen in the Premier League.
I agree with part of that because I do think Luke Humphries turns up on Thursday. I've got no doubt about that. Winning the game or losing the game is still one for us to debate. But I think Luke Humphries will perform on Thursday night. It is about the Michael Van Gerwen in regards to how that game plays out. I still think Luke Humphries will have too much for him. But for me, it is the draw of the two semi-finals. It's mad to say that with Lou Little being incredible and Michael Smith in form, but that is the one that I'm really looking forward to on Thursday.
Yeah, and that's another thing that Bob says there, that Luke and Luke are making their Premier League debuts in finals now, which is something else that you'd have to take into consideration as well, that Smith and Van Gerwen have been there.
Only if you think either of them will be phased by like a debut at the O2, having played each other in the World Championship finals at Ali Pali. Is it genuinely? Do you think it's something that will have an effect on either of them?
I'll bat them both to win, so I hope not. I haven't.
I just don't think. I think those two specifically could be playing in the in the centre circle at Wembley Stadium, or in the local social club, and I don't think. I think that the benefit of those two players, that two of the best qualities they have, is they don't seem to be outdone by a situation or a venue or a crowd, which is why we potentially will get a very good version of both of them. But I mean, we'll see. Anyone's got the potential to bottle it, but.
How are we doing, Anthony? Hope you are good, buddy. Good to have you in. Don't worry, we'll touch on the CDC shortly. Bad time to be a Van Veen fan. No, Jan's playing really well. Just maybe not getting results. But back to the Premier League. I am going for a last leg decider. I'm really torn. Van Gerwen. I just think experience in the Premier League will get him over the line.
You're going to have two completely different finalists to Lee, aren't you?
Correct. He knows what I'm like with predictions. That's why he's done that, Dan.
He's let you go first, hasn't he?
He woke up this morning, he seen that I was back, and he thought, well, I'll let Lee go first, and I'll just tell you.
There's my picks.
It's safe.
So, you've gone Luke and Luke.
Yes.
Dan, you've gone
Smith and Humphries.
And I've gone Michael and Michael. So, who will be crowned the 2024 BetMGM Premier League champion? Will it be?
Should we all do it on three, one name? One name on three. 1, 2, 3.
Humphries.
That's cheating, Phil.
I was waiting for someone to clock it.
Dan, I was under the same with Luke, and I thought when he said
you said one name, so I gave you one name.
I think either Luke or Michael will win.
You said one name, I gave you one name.
I'm down Luke Humphries. Where are you going, Dan?
Humphries.
Van Gerwen.
Massive pick.
Whatever happens, I think the winner comes from that semi-final.
It's very rare though that, especially the three of us or whatever three's on the live lounge, goes for second semi-final to go on and win the title, because we've both picked whatever outcome gets to that final. We've both gone down the route that second semi-final is the winner. Where
nobody's picked the league. No one's picked the Premier League winner to win,
or the potentially the most informed player in the league.
Yeah,
going into finals now. But there we are.
Yeah. Stu knows. But look, I'm genuinely looking forward to Thursday. First time the O2 has ever been sold out. 20,000 at the O2. There isn't a ticket to be had. It is mental.
Is it really? I did not know that. That's the first time it's ever been sold out.
First time the O2 has been sold out. There will be 20,000 in the O2 on Thursday night.
That is, I do find that fascinating, like brilliant. But
all I'm saying is, good luck getting an Uber or getting to the train station straight afterwards.
Yeah, it's not ideal around there anyway.
No, that's what I mean. It's not great at the best of times, let alone straight after the Premier League. So there we have it. Also, this weekend, it's an interesting one. It is the cut-off for the World Cup of Darts, and all eyes are on Team Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland is the only real battle. Is it the only battle that's contentious? There's nothing else that we've missed, is there?
I'm just going to double check, but I don't think so.
I think I was looking the other week, and definitely Northern Ireland is massively in play. But I don't think anything else really is.
No, I had a
one talking point, not for a ranking, but we'll come on to Team Belgium. But I think,
yeah, we might detect a little.
Just bear with me 1 minute while you look into that. Then.
Yeah, I'm just looking. They can't be caught. That can't be caught. No. That they can't be caught. No. So it's literally Team Northern Ireland. Looking at it, yeah, they can't. No, so yeah, all eyes are on that Euro Tour, and yeah, Patrick, we'll come on to that in a second. Phil, did you ever confirm it will be? No, it will not be confirmed by the PDC. Joel, Leonard Gates will not be in the World Cup. It will be Jules Van Dongen because he has a PDC Tour card. So Team USA will be Danny Lauby and Jules Van Dongen. Also, David Cameron making his World Cup debut for Canada instead of Jeff Smith. Like he's won the place, but do I think Team Canada are better with Jeff Smith in? Probably. But look, David Cameron's been done his job and won his place. So, Team Northern Ireland, all eyes on the Euro Tour. Patrick said it there, and I'm going to play the clip in a minute from Daryl Gurney because we put the interview out earlier. Call me a cynic, but how good would it be if we had Gurney against Dolan in a shootout on the Euro Tour this weekend?
It's what you want, isn't it? It's what you want.
100%.
Yeah.
There's too many times, and obviously it happens because of formats and leads and whatever. There's too many times in sport that someone is cheering someone else on when it comes to a lead or a race. What you want to see is they go head-to-head and decider in whatever round that may be. You want it to be made that they are meeting at some point.
100%. 100%.
I'd totally have a rule that if you're within a certain threshold of money on the tour card race, you have to have a playoff. If you're within $2,000 of each other on the rankings, then you have to have a playoff.
For this one as well, the intriguing thing in this race is it would be different if it was, let's say, Darryl was in one and it's Josh Rott up against Brendan, because you've got the potential of someone just joining the team again. Josh Rott is cemented number one. You've got the team that has been the team for so many years that the other one's done and not the other one out, or vice versa. It's not someone trying to break into the team. It's someone trying to hold on to their spot, which is completely different to normally what you get.
Brilliant. But it's what, outside, to enjoy it. There's lots of people that don't enjoy the World Cup. Again, a bit like the Premier League, I do enjoy the World Cup. And for all these little intricacies, and I just think that they make for the fun. It's part of the fun of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Team Ireland will be William O'Connor and Keane Barry. Let's play the Daryl Gurney clip and then we'll discuss.
Well, I've been favourite all year, bar Brendan winning the Pro Tour. But, I mean, I think, what is he, 500 now?
500 quid, yeah.
5 in front of me. So, listen, I would be really disappointed not to play in the World Cup, but at the same time, Brendan's like the nicest person in the world, and if you want to lose to somebody, I wouldn't mind losing to him. But yeah, I'll be really disappointed if I'm sitting at home watching the World Cup. But listen, I want to play with Josh. Josh wants to play with me, and Brendan is obviously, the thing was all the pressure was off Brendan because he was concentrating on the Grand Prix match play, not in the World Cup. I'll tell you a true story now. So on Tuesday, the day he won the Pro Tour, I got on just before him, and they go, "Oh, you got to try on the shirt for the World Cup." So I was all right. I tried on the shirt, and I says, "Yeah, I'll need that one. I'll need that size." Brendan comes in and literally says, "Oh, Brendan, you need to try on that shirt." And he goes, "I won't need it." And I went, and then after that day, I was like, so yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm interested to see how that comment's going to go down. Well, I want to play with Josh, and Josh wants to play with me.
I'm intrigued to see Brendan wearing Daryl's shirt or vice versa, whatever's next.
I was going to say I love the idea of somebody winning a Pro Tour just before the World Cup, but the shirts have already been made, and having to wear a comedically missized, what we want is someone like some enormous player, having to wear the shirt of a tiny little man.
And by the way, this is a perfect marketing opportunity for the World Cup at the Euro Tour on Friday. Getting 2 shirts printed with Gurney, whatever number on the back, and Dolan the other next to each other before round 1 of the sort of who will be in the World Cup. There's so much that could be done with it in regards to the promotion of it. But I agree, Phil. It's for Daryl to say I would like to play with Josh is very much fine. For him then to say Josh wants to play with me, not Brendan.
Yeah. Imagine that conversation if Brendan gets the spot. So you didn't want to play with me, right? Yeah. But it's a really interesting dynamic. It really is. And look, the Euro Tour is great. There are going to be some pullouts on the Euro Tour this weekend, so the standby list will be getting used. So this could be a good Euro Tour for someone to pick up some coin. But all eyes when that draw comes out on Thursday, where Brendan and Daryl are together.
Are we watching along, Phil?
Oh, the Euro, yeah, 100%.
We're going to plug. We moved on from the Premier League without plugging our watch along on Thursday. We need some watch along plugs while we're on.
Yeah, on Thursday, Dan and the team are going to do a Premier League finals watch along. So
think of it as an alternative commentary. You can put it on the TV, enjoy it as you normally would, and hear me and the idiots whitter along in the background with it.
When someone misses now, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, it could get messy after a few hours.
You see Dan's reaction to his predictions during runs live. That's how you should promote it. No one will promote it.
Yeah, see me berate our sponsors as the show goes on.
Forget True Geordie. We've got Angry Geordie as he's out bashing things up.
Yeah. So we're watching a lot. So we're doing 2 we're going to watch along for the Premier League.
And then we'll do the final session
of the Euro Tour, aren't we?
Euro Tour, as always, yeah. I like the final day Euro Tour watch along. I think it works well. So yeah, that's the race for the World Cup. Interesting. Before we're not going to dissect the whole World Cup now, but outside the norm, Who could cause problems in the World Cup?
Oh. I mean, it depends on where you see. It depends on where you see, like what you classify as outside the norm, because Australia are still going to be there. You would think that Australia will do something. Belgium can do something. But then going further out from that, maybe. I mean, let's be honest. Northern Ireland could do some damage.
Yeah.
Any one of the combinations.
I always looked at Poland and I just think Zidane and Watosti, obviously dependent on draws and so on, that they have the potential to be in that sort of mix. Germans are always a threat of where it is.
Different first-time captain as well, Germany this year.
Joel, if Richie's number 1 on the standby list, I can guarantee 100% he's there. If he's number 1, he's in Holland. I was like, to be fair, I think that at least the top 3 will be there. I'm interested.
Dan, is it guaranteed change of captain? Dependent on how this weekend goes, doesn't it? There isn't much between them.
Yeah, there's not
Germany,
a lot.
for Germany.
Yeah, there's $1.50 between them.
I don't think they're a team though that really worries about who the captain is. Like there's like Damon Hatter still calls Whitlock the captain.
Yeah, true.
Do we have any hope for Scotland?
Not for me.
Half of it, 50%.
I think one of them has to play exceptionally well and drag the other one along.
So I'll tell you the big talking point, only because, and Phil, you might have some insight on this, but obviously in recent years we've seen a slightly augmented team from the Netherlands. Are we likely, do we think, to see a Michael van Gerwen, or are we looking with, because that's a very, very, I mean, with the greatest respect to him, Noppy and MVG is a very, very different prospect to Noppy and the current Dirk van Duijvenbode, isn't it?
As far as I'm aware, it will be Michael van Gerwen and Danny Noppert.
Oh, in that case, that's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. I think Sweden can do damage again. They can. Yeah, I agree.
Jeffrey's been playing well.
Yeah.
France. We could see a bit from France.
An outsider for me. Now, again, they'd have to get it right. But I actually think the New Zealand pair of Hopai Puhau and Ben Robb could do some damage.
I literally just opened Hopai Puhau, and that was the next thing I was going to say. So some of Puhau's performances and they've generally came oddly in Euro Tour qualifiers lately, have been absolutely massive. Like he had a Euro Tour qualifier day where I think he averaged 106, 105, and 103 in the same day. Like the guy he's properly got something. Like he hasn't yet. We haven't seen the best of him being able to put it together, and we haven't seen it yet. Like when he's got to the thing he's qualified for, but some of the performances, the level that he's reached on those Euro Tour qualifiers, like the guy has really got something.
And for a non-Tortard World Cup partner, there's none many than Ben Robb.
And, this is it. Like it's a fascinating thing.
The potential in Ben Robb, it frustrates me every time I see him get to a World Championship and not turn up, or we've seen him in events and not turn up, because he has got a top game, Ben Robb. We just don't see it enough, and that the only worry with that pairing, Dan, is there's just not one consistent performer. You're hoping for another one. both of them fall into that category, that both of them have to turn up for that to work. Whereas I know it's slightly different in tournament aspirations, but you look at Scotland, you're sort of looking at Peter Wright turns up, there's a huge chance they can win that competition. Whereas New Zealand don't quite have that at the moment, because it's two players who have huge potential or a huge A game. But
big ceilings, isn't it? Yeah.
The range is too big.
Yeah.
They've both got a big
range.
They've both got a high ceiling, but we're not seeing either of them hit it consistently. So the chance that they both hit it consistently at the same time is slim. Yeah. But if it happens, by God, it'll be entertaining. I mean, again, you think, well, like, I know we revisit it because they've done so well in the past, but if Whitlock can find his B game, Australia are so dangerous because you expect Damon Heta to turn up and play at the level that we're used to seeing from him, and we haven't seen. We have seen a decline from Whitlock in the last couple of years. But if he can but he does seem to get himself up for the World Cup. Of all the tournaments he seems to enter, Whitlock very much seems to be able to motivate himself for the World Cup ahead of a lot of other tournaments. And if Whitlock can find his B game, Damon's A game could drag them into some like real deep water. They could go and do big, serious bits, especially when you look at some of those, the likes of Scotland, like you mentioned earlier. And I thought it's a bit harsh to say, but there are some one-man teams in there that if you can get a 1.5-man team, you almost put yourself in the last. You put yourself in the inner circle almost. There are a handful of fully 2-men top 32 teams. Where you've got 2 players in the top 32. There's not loads of them. And you still rely on them both turning up. One of them could have a stinker.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's really intriguing. The other carrot as well that shouldn't be in players' minds, but it is. It's a place in the Grand Slam for the finalists.
I agree. It shouldn't be in players' minds. There's a chance to be World Cup champion for your country.
But I remember last year that the finalists, both of them, as they walked off, we're in the Grand Slam now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that might be the difference of getting to a final, and then once you're in the final, that Grand Slam attention's turned off. It's about being a World Cup champion. I'm not totally opposed to it, as I am with some other events where people look at it. I.e., if you let's get to the final and get yourself in that, it's slightly different as your focus then changes to winning the World Cup for your country. So that should mean a little bit more. But we know how much a Grand Slam means now, since it's been a seeded event. It just means that little bit more to players. And when it's a World Cup, sometimes you get your finalists being seed number 14 in the world or seed number 15. It could be a tour keeping your tour or not. It could be that important for you. So I'm not surprised for some players that it is in the back of the minds, but it should be all focus on winning the World Cup, as we've seen how much it means to countries, both winning and losing in that final.
Yeah. And same format as last year with the pairs and that,
Mark, and to that point, it's so great that it is. I'm with Dan. I love the World Cup. I don't agree with his points earlier on the Premier League, and I know people said we should have booted him out for that, but the World Cup is one of the best tournaments on the calendar because of the change.
And I've said
pre-change it was I like parts of it. There was moments of it. I love the first 2 days. Now, the whole of that tournament is great. Just a shame it fits smack bang in the middle of the Euros. But 2 days, by the way, are totally clear of any Euro 2024 action, which is great.
You will find they are the 2 days on which we are doing fallouts for it.
Oh, yeah, first 2.
But yeah, so we're gonna do Fallout bars after the. No, but the World Cup is one of the highlights of my calendar. I said I'd say it last year. If I had my way, and the idiot that I am, like I'd expand it. I'd have bigger teams. I would expand the World Cup. I would have bigger teams. I think it's such a novelty. Like there's loads that the PDC does in terms of like darts ranking events, majors for individual stars. I think it's such a rare thing within the PDC structure for people to be able to compete in a team. And you know, we've talked all the time about what can you do to try and change it up. And people say, oh, well, I want to see a cricket tournament. I want to see 1001. I want to do, like, for me, the World Cup is like, it's a complete, you could do so much with it to expand it even further. You could have a team of 5. You could have a female in every team. That's probably going to be another debate. But you could have you could do all sorts of stuff to expand it and make it bigger. Whether or not it fits then in the calendar and the scheduling doesn't fit, but I absolutely love the idea of it, and I'm very pleased that we continue to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. So from there, we're going across the pond to our friends at the CDC. It was a busy couple of days in Indiana as well. First of all, there was 2 qualifiers for spots at the US Darts Masters. The first one was won by David Cameron, beating Leonard Gates in the final. Danny Baggish and Jeff Smith also making semi-final. So David Cameron, and then Jeff Smith booked his return to MSG after getting to the final last year. Stunning victory over Luke Humphreys en route to that. Again, John Park getting to the semi-final. JP was ever so close to getting back there. I'm pretty sure we'll see him on comms or something. But then we also had the tour events for the CDC as well. Let me just get those results up. So main event number 1 was won by Leonard Gates, and we saw some stunning stuff from him. 102 average in the final. Again, Baggish getting to a semi-final. Good to see Danny back playing. We haven't seen him for a couple of years due to, obviously, personal reasons behind the scenes and family reasons, and whether, but a successful weekend with him. Again, Jeff Smith getting to a semi-final. Stowe Bunce, Alex Spellman falling in the semi-finals. But it just shows the strength in depth.
The level of
America at the moment is incredible.
The level of depth there, Phil, and it honestly, I love the everything that's going on in the CDC at the minute. I think it's brilliant, and the fact that you have been, and I didn't count at all, but I reckon you've named 10 different names in the last couple of people in finals, people qualifying, people got to semis, and people who aren't obsessive darts geeks like us are able to go like, yeah, in from that, oh yeah. Like, it's the depth there and the level of performance and the level of competition. We're not seeing 2 or 3 massive players get to every final and that's where the good performances are. Like, there are big proper players right the way through. The depth in that now is brilliant, and it's continuing to improve. Like, Danny Baggish comes back and he's finding form that we've seen from him previously. There's another name back into the mix as well. It's class, and I want it to keep going.
Yeah, and the second tour event was won by David Cameron, beating Jeff Smith in the final. Again, 95 average from Cameron. He beat Stowe Bunce in the semi-final as well. Again, a quarter-final for Baggish. He had a bit of a fall-off in there when Cameron served the bagel on him 6-0. But I just look at the names that are running through it. And look, we've seen over the years affiliate tours have moments. We saw the spell where the DPA tour was on fire. Before COVID, the Asian tour was on fire. But right now, the levels that the guys in North America are producing is incredible. And you can't help but think that once still tip pops big time in America, it's going to be huge. That we're seeing it get better and better. More numbers playing on the CDC tour. The ticketed events that the guys over there are putting it on are getting better supported all the time. The Continental Cup, the Cross Border Challenge, the North American Darts Championship, everything.
They were at Comic Con the other week.
Yeah.
Class.
It is genuinely superb what they are doing for that area.
If you just look back over the last couple of years, when you're thinking of the players that you've named there, or some of them, we've got David Tamrian, who's a seniors champion. We've got Leonard Dates, who's a multiple seniors champion. Just from that side, we've got Stowe Bunce, who did magical things at the Grand Slam of Darts. We've got John Part, multiple world champion. We're not just naming up-and-coming players. We've seen what Alex Spellman's doing on the tour. We're not just naming players of sort of yesteryear or people who've won things previously. We are also naming players who have gone on and come over to England and picked up big trophies. Yes, the majority of those have been in the seniors, but yes, Warren, Jim Lund as well, who's done on and picked up just a few names we mentioned him. These players are making huge impacts in the game in this country and worldwide in the PDC, not just on the CDC. Just shows that, I'm with you, Phil, that the CDC at the minute is just the elite after the professional tour. There isn't a better affiliated tour right now than the CDC because of what they're doing with combination of the players all got the desire to be the ultimate best they can be in the sport from CDC and multiple events, and kudos must go to the CDC for that.
Well, I look at some of the younger talent coming through as well. Your Jake McMillans, remember when he came over, I saw him at Madison Square Garden last year, then he came and won Group A in the Super Series. JT Davis, another one that, again, really, really good. But it's not just that, it's they're thinking about the whole strategy. When you look below that, they've got the Evolution Tour, the JDC are going into North America as well. This is, for the first time that I can remember, I don't remember when all the BDO guys used to go over there. That was before my time. But now there is a clear roadmap for steel tip darts in North America, spearheaded by the CDC. And it's incredible to see. And I know I keep going on about him, but for me, Alex Spellman is the next one that I want to see on tour, because I genuinely think his ceiling is incredible. And then he could be that poster boy for, he'll hate me for saying that as well, calling him the poster boy, but you know what I mean. He could be the one that spearheads the next wave.
That's when the world needs to worry, by the way, from a CDC perspective, is when they've got a JDC to them, because they are, at the moment, they are building a lot of very, very good dart players. But to build someone from 10 years old or whatever it may be, that starting age, when that game is growing in a huge part of the world, CDC and JDC combination could be really damaging for the rest of the world of darts, because they'll produce so many ridiculous talents.
You are. I think you're completely right. We're going to see it, I think, in a few months' time, because we're in an Olympic year, and we're gonna see an example of one of the things that, if you are a sports fan and you're into all types of sport, one of the things that as a nation, North America, like not just America but Canada, and what they do exceptionally well right across that part of the world is they are unbelievably talented at developing young potential within sport and finding good coaches and structures and tournament systems and development cycles for young sportsmen and women of any sport, whether that be athletics or, you know, a pole vault, whatever the hell it is. They are incredibly good at that. And if they get a formalized structure in place that starts to function to develop young dart players, then the rest of the world does need to get a bit worried about it, because those guys can get their heads together and turn out real good sportsmen, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, 100%. Also, another good time to drop it in that there will be a Live Lands live from New York when we are over there for the build-up for Madison Square Garden on the Wednesday. It's going to be 5 o'clock Eastern time, so around 11 o'clock UK time. Just planning up and getting the guests and all that confirmed. But I'm just buzzing the way darts in North America is springboarding towards the stars right now.
And there's no real surprise. We had him on a few weeks ago, Anthony. If that passion that Anthony has, a little percentage of that just drops into the players, you can see why those players are at every event. The passion that they've got over there for the sport is why the tour is continuing to grow. And it like I says, it is great to see. I'm seeing it from afar, but it's great to see the coverage that they're in the social media. When I was following the Intercontinental the other week, it's just looking back at it, and it is great to see. It's only going to get bigger. The potential there is bigger than anywhere else.
100%.
And that's always the case with America. But the potential, if they can deliver just half of what that potential is, it will be ridiculous in 4 or 5 years.
And being ruthless, the potential is not just for high quality darts and the production of high level darts players. The commercial potential of any sport in North America is vastly superior to any other market on earth. If you can crack 1% of North America, you'll be doing very well on the rest of the planet. And that's the other exciting thing for everyone, even on the periphery being involved in darts, is yes, we have the potential for massive darts players and talent coming out of there. And the potential of a, let's be honest, a monstrously good World Cup team in a few years' time, but also commercially, it could be a monstrous market for darts. That.
Yeah, TK Shot says, what exactly is the CDC? It's the Championship Darts Corporation, one of the PDC affiliate tours as well. The guys do an absolute tremendous job over in North America, and I blooming love it. It's great. Champions Week at the Super Series kicked off today, and what a day. It was some unbelievable darts. That Group A was incredible today. The spread of points is so thin. It's unreal. Bo played some incredible stuff today. She topped the table on leg difference, but just genuinely, I love Champions Week.
Yeah, well, I've saw very little of it in play, if any. However, followed a fair amount on socials, and sometimes you don't need to follow much play to just look at a table. Phil on that table sort of says it all after day one. Is it sits, and then the other 3 on 4, or 3 on 6 and 2 on 4? It's just that close. Bo's going into it as favourites because of the week she had when she won it, and obviously we know what Bo can do. But there's certainly a few names who can upset the apple cart, and it's going to be a very, very interesting week. As you said, Champions Weeks are the best for that very reason. You put 12 champions in together to deliver, and if day one's anything to go by, we're in for a very interesting week.
Yeah, Andy Davidson, the Jack in the Box that no one knew about until a few weeks ago, he produced some incredible stuff. Conor Heenahan's ceiling.
Some of his finishing I saw today.
The 148 he took out at one point today was just world class. Conor Heenahan, another one again, scoring explosive power that he has is ridiculous. Andreas Harrison lost his first 3 games and won his last 2. Bradley Brooks, the former world youth champion, 2 wins, but glimpses. Kieran Tian sits bottom, but again, he's played some really good stuff in spells. 1 win, you could go from top to bottom. It's absolutely mental after day one at the Moda Super Series Champions Week. I'm not just saying that. Group B and C, some of the talent that we've got coming in to there is ridiculous.
Yeah, the talent in the week is ridiculous. That we look at some weeks and you feel like you can pick out who's going to be there or thereabouts, or who's going to be on that Saturday night, but you can have an argument for all 12. It will be it will be a great Saturday, whatever the outcome, because of the players who are going to be there.
I didn't get to see. I've been working today, hence the reason I'm stuck in a hotel. So I got to the hotel and I was sat getting something to eat. And I literally just opened the scores and I didn't even look at the table. I just rolled through the scores on my phone and I could see like each person like 1-1, lost. Next one 1-1, lost. Just on the score list alone, I went, "Oh, that's tight! Like, that's really tight." And it's going to get exciting.
Yeah, absolutely mental, but obviously in a good way. Looking forward to the next week of Super Series action. Right, we're going to play just for you. We've got a Chris Dobey clip. We've been interviewed that we put out as well. So just for Dan,
Spoilers, Phil.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what he's done. It's fantastic for the sport. He's brought all the eyes back to the sport, and hey, you've got to give a lad credit. When people were saying, "Oh, Chris isn't in the Premier League," and Luke saying, "How can they do that?" It was a no-brainer. They had to put Luke in. What he brought to the sport, honestly, it was unbelievable. And you've just seen a change in the lad. He's confident on that stage. He's a shy little kid. You know, people forget how old he is, and you've got to put that to the side. Once he's up on that stage, that's where he's confident. That's where it all comes out, and he's a confident young lad. And it's good to see him going up there because a lot of people aren't as confident as he is, and it's hard getting a conversation with him backstage because he's still that shy kid. And yeah, it's great to see. Obviously, being in the same stable as him and the likes of him and Nathan it's great because they're at the top again, and that's where I want to be. So it's that little bit of competition, and hopefully I can be mixing it with them guys again next year.
Love that from Dobes.
A very wise man.
Yeah, speaks very, very well. What else? We're going to double check because we always miss stuff in a week of darts because there's just so much going on.
A week off this week, hasn't it?
Yeah, you say that. There's obviously always loads going on, though, isn't there? It doesn't. It never stops, does it? Chris, I had a bit. Yeah, I know. Look, Dobes is just a great lad. It's the Asian tour happened. I'm not going to lie, Warren. I don't get to see an awful lot of the Asian tour because of the time it's on. But let's get Dart Connect up.
If we could ban Maliki, that'd be good.
Did anyone see that Max Hopp came through? I didn't, did he? That's interesting. When was... So that must have been... Right, let's get the host nation qualifier. Was it this one? Wasn't this one. So the host nation qualifier number 8. We had Nico Kurtz, Nico Bloom, Kevin Troutman, and Jan Dukers. Not Decker, don't worry about that. And then, probably butchered his name, my apologies. But, you know. And host nation qualifier number 9. Yes, Maximus Hopp came through in a last leg decider, averaging 93 and a bit.
Oh, interesting.
Nico Springer coming through as well. Dragutin Horvath. Good start. I'm pleased for Max Hopp because look, there was a lot of pressure put on his shoulders, and look, that's not easy. But you don't win events if you haven't got ability. So look, I'm pleased for Max Hopp. Yes, look, it is a bit of a rebuilding process for him, but I'm pleased.
Yeah, second that. It's still a long way to start, but it's certainly a step in the right direction.
I don't think there's any question in the fact that he's got talent. He's definitely got it. It's the application of that talent that we're still waiting to see, you know, in the long term.
Yeah. So Asian Tour, Lawrence Alagan has a little trophy next to his name. Oh, gotta love Lawrence.
Good old Lawrence.
Everyone loves Lawrence.
Good old Lawrence, the finest action in darts.
Yeah. Alexis Toyo beat Paolo Nebreda in the next final. Then we've got 12. There we are. I'm not even going to try and butcher that one. But again, a couple of semi-finalists that we do know well, Lawrence Alagan and Manlok Lung as well. I'd love to see Man. I remember speaking. Well, it was through a translator, but I remember Manlok Lung at the World Championships said he'd love to have it a go, but financially he can't commit because his A game's incredible.
He's also got one of the finest shirts in darts.
Yeah,
A gorgeous darts shirt, that.
Johnny, the bucking Bronco at Armageddon was legendary.
What?
They did because Armageddon was huge. They did a proper fan zone where you could play the pro. They had a couple of soft tip dartboards, and then a bucking Bronco as well.
A bucking Bronco.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
it was great.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah,
Dan, I'm sure there's one of them at Trilogy one of the nights. Maybe the night you're up there.
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I think. And you know what? See, I shouldn't laugh. I love a bucking Bronco. Not to participate in, but I very much like standing from a position of moral superiority, looking down my nose at people fall off. Like, I'm happy to watch people fall on the floor and giggle at them.
By the way, if I'm in a venue with you and there is one, you will be on there at some stage, Mr.
I mean, you may need. The problem is the Winter Gardens might be completely lacking in security because it might take all of them to get me on it. It's not.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably know that I could be probably plied with enough ale in Trilogy to tempt me.
That's my approach.
Somebody will come on with a bucket full of some cocktail or other, and the next thing you know, I'll be on a bucking Bronco in a Sunderland shirt.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I do have the Trilogy list.
Oh, yes, here we go.
So, on the Sunday,
I'm on booking.com now.
first Sunday, we have Mr. Mark Webster.
Good
on
start.
the Tuesday,
Solid start.
Mace the Ace.
There we go.
Webby is back by popular demand on the Wednesday night. Webster's doing a double shift.
Webby is always popular in Blackpool.
But just so you know, so we can we can announce Thursday. Dan Simpson's there,
along with Colin Lloyd.
Oh, we'll have a good night, will me and Colin.
And then this is the one that's going to throw the spanner in your works, Dan, because you might now want an extra night in Blackpool. Because the one and only Mr. Glenn Durrant is there on Sunday finals night.
Oh, see, I'm there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He says from a hotel, and I'm staying in a hotel tomorrow, thinking, when do I address this with Mrs. Simpson? knowing that I'm in Manchester tomorrow, and I'm going to, oh, right, okay. See, I am bringing Mrs. Simpson for the first time. So, Lee, Mrs. S is coming to Trilogy this year. Like, we've caught it within the 6 weeks holidays, in the school holidays. So I am bringing Mrs. S for a visit. So I might get some points out of that. Whether or not we can stretch to the Sunday, God only knows.
Phil, have you got the poster, or you just got the names and when they are?
No, I've got the poster.
Okay, so you've also saw, we won't give Dan the night, but you've also saw that there is a rodeo ball night that week, yeah?
Yes, there is a rodeo ball night. There's also beer pong available. Trilogy is the #1 after party for the Betfred World Match Play. As always, find Dan Simpson in there most nights when he's in Blackpool, along with Mrs. Simpson.
You won't get to me because I'll be in a booth behind a little rope. You'll see my head. You'll see the lights reflected off my baldy head. You'll see the shine of a strobe light. A strobe light bounce off a little globe in the corner.
So
John, those days are long gone.
Right, we'll open up question time as well. Timo, it is Paul and Harith Lim for Singapore. So question time it is. If we've forgotten anything, let us know in the chat room. But I do love a bit of question time, everyone. I'm buzzing for Blackpool now.
I'm normally doing a countdown. It's really bad that I haven't done one this year. So.
I reckon it's about 10 weeks.
Yeah, roughly.
I reckon it might be 10 weeks this weekend.
54 days until Blackpool.
Just the best week in darts.
Chris, as you asked nicely, of course you can have a selfie with the famous Phil Bars in Blackpool.
Chris, do me a favour and don't do him any more than he don't.
Yes. By then, I'm going to be selling polo shirts.
The worrying thing is if the fine continues, one of these posters 1 year for Trilogy is going to include a note with Phil Bars if things go on at this, right?
I was going to say, why is the famous Phil Bars not on the Trilogy poster?
It's the same note as the Rodeo Bull, Dan. You just haven't seen the poster yet. That's all it is.
Very good.
But Dan, as you learned about an hour ago, don't always believe what's on a poster. Just because Phil Bars might be on it, he might not be there.
And plus, I'm good at Photoshop, so I might edit that one in a minute.
That might be the only way, you know, that I can get a pass for the Sunday. I might have to get you to knock me up a poster with me on it that I can show Anna and say, "Look, love, I have to stay. Look, I'm on the poster."
I can sort that out for you. That's fine.
I'm gonna have to. I'm really sorry, love, but I have to be there. Look, I'm on the poster.
To be fair, we did miss this, and it wasn't on purpose. Just a lot going on. Mr. Boyce let us down massively. Normally, he was the king of announcements. He let this one down. We have a country now for the WDF Masters. We'll be going to Budapest the 9th to the 13th of October. There are some good bits and there are some bad bits about the tournament. The good bit is obviously good that it's back on the calendar. And I'm not knocking that at all. People think I hate the WDF. I don't. It's just bits of it I wish were done better. As we've had this conversation, boys, a lot of time, haven't we?
Too many.
Yeah, but look, fundamentally, I want it to work. But it's just irritating bits of it.
Yeah, first and foremost, it being back is essential and very good news.
Yeah. The commercial car crash, though, is going up against the Grand Prix. If you're trying to secure sponsorship and a TV deal, don't go up against the PDC.
Yeah,
it doesn't leave much of a window when not to. You've got to think they've attacked a window of not going up against them when they've put their World Championships, but it's still been slated for when it's sat in the calendar. So I always find it difficult of when they put any of their two majors, because the PDC calendar just keeps continue to fill.
It does, but you don't go against one of their big TV tournaments.
Are we being a bit naive in the fact that it's a name now, isn't it, rather than a historic tournament?
Yeah, and look, Mace is there in the chat room, and look, we've got a really good interview with Mace. Funny enough, it's rendering at the moment. Me and Mace did an hour on Friday, and I agree with what Mace says, that it is just the name because of the format change. It doesn't hold the Masters history.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, Budapest is a gorgeous. Budapest is one of my favourite cities in the world. It's a brilliant place to do anything, let alone have a darts tournament. It's a brilliant idea to have a darts tournament in Budapest. But I do think we probably need to retain a bit of perspective about what it is. And I mean, it's running against the PDC. But how many people who were going to watch the PDC on Sky Sports would have been tuning into that?
probably not that much. But what I'm saying is, if it's not on the same time as the World Grand Prix, you've got more of an opportunity to capture some of that audience.
You have, and again, I don't. It feels like every time we talk about it, I end up just shitting on it. But they don't. Like they don't. Like we've seen repeated. We've seen tournament after tournament where they don't capitalize on it in the way that you would expect an organization to be able to. So the fact that they schedule it against a PDC major doesn't surprise me. But I also think it almost shows a wisdom that I didn't know they had in that, well, they're not competing for the same viewers. They're not in the same marketplace at the minute. Yes, they have the same product, but it's like you put in a Saturday afternoon, 3:00 tier 7 football match on and thinking that it's competing against, Soccer Saturday. It just didn't. Yes, it's the same sport. They're throwing darts, they're playing darts, but it bears little resemblance to what that tournament was. And that organisation isn't a competitor of the PDC.
Oh God.
At least he's not. At least he's not on the stream saying it for anything.
Yeah, he is. Look. And look, I appreciate it's not easy as well, but the prize money on offer, the players are going to lose money by going.
Yeah, Budapest isn't as cheap as it used to be either. It was like another Prague for a period of time, and it's not anymore.
It starts on the Wednesday, so you're going to have to be there on the Tuesday, and you won't fly home till the Monday. And men's quarter-finalist, it's only €1,000, which is what, 870 quid, 75 quid.
Yeah, won't cover your flights and hotels unless you fly from Luton. Cheap flights from Luton to.
And the women's is worse. It's only €500 for a quarter final. So the World Masters, they want people to travel from all around the world. I don't think people are going to be able to afford to.
Right.
You've got a sponsor, which a lot at that level don't. They're chasing the dream.
I find it hard to comment without looking like I'm sticking the boot in, and I don't want to stick the boot in because it feels like I'm like kicking someone when they're down, and that's probably enough of a like.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dan. I want to see it as a positive move that they've announced it, and we've got one this year because we didn't have one last year, which was a bit of disappointment. But that is the only positive. There isn't much more. The worry is the prize fund, the drop that we saw back in 2022 has just remained hoping for a lift in that, but it's still not increased, and it's just going to be it'll be interesting to your comment, Phil. Be interesting to see who's there, who's playing.
Yeah.
When you look back at the names who are invited,
all the previous Masters winners get invited, don't they?
Yeah. If you just looked at the names, it could be quite a stellar field.
Oh, Lee, I could have a tournament and invite whoever I wanted, though, couldn't I? Like, I could run a tournament in the pub and say, well, there's the list of people I've invited. And I could have a five-a-side tournament I'm running, and I've invited Cristiano Ronaldo and I've invited Lionel Messi, and no one's going to fucking go, and nobody's going to watch. No one's going to watch the 6 lads that turn up for a five-a-side tournament. But
I'm trying to be more positive, Dan.
Well done. You're a better man than I.
Because I've got you and Phil being fairly negative, and I've got Dobey in the chat room, as we can all see.
You're doing a very good job, mate, and
I'm
I
trying my
commend
best.
you for it.
But I do it. The only positive is it's back.
Oh yeah, look, that is a massive positive, 100%.
And also, if you want a weekend away to watch some darts, I genuinely couldn't recommend Budapest enough. It's a fucking gorgeous place. You should definitely visit Budapest, and if you can visit there while there's some darts on, all the better.
Yeah, but it's no Brid Spa, is it?
Ah, well, no competition.
How are we doing, Anthony? I love this man.
I'm more than happy, Anthony. I'll have the same thing when I'm done. So
That's the benefits of being stuck in a hotel in Bolton. Is I'm not subjected to anybody else's television.
I'm just debating whether I put Gob's comment on screen or not.
No, you do not.
I would suggest that if you want to retain your position as a monetized channel, you should probably minimize his involvement at this point.
It is funny though.
I mean, it's funny. There's lots of things funny.
To be honest, I've seen in our chat that he's put a poster up. I don't see what it is. It might be that very one. I haven't downloaded it yet.
Last time we were at Lakeside, we did go and look round Wronglands Wall, and they're all still on the wall there. That's the concerning thing.
They're not all still on now.
Have some of them gone now?
Yes, they wasn't all still on last time because I did the very same thing in December.
Last time we were there for an exhibit, I went round and we found them all because I sent you the pictures, wasn't I?
Yes, but some have been removed. But instead of deciding to remove them and fill them with something else, you can just see that they've removed photos and they've just
like shadows. Where
let's use the back of my wall as an example, and let's say there was there. They've just taken them off, but left the marks on that you can see.
The fact that no one's gone around with a Sharpie and drawn amusing moustaches and eye patches on them.
Well, no, Gob's right, exactly there. John Lowe took a photo when he was at the seniors. Couldn't have picked a worse spot on the wall, and there's one of them in John Lowe's photo that he's put on his Twitter.
Oh,
God. Everyone, I'll tell you what, it's been an absolute banging live lounge this evening. We have laughed and laughed with you all throughout all. This will be available as an audio only in the morning as well, available on all good podcast providers. Boise, thank you for coming in for Gob this evening. There will be another change to the lineup next week. Gob will return, and the Housewife's Choice will return to host for the evening. Mr. Jarlath Eaton will be taking the hosting seat, whilst I am flying to NYC. But everyone in the chat room, give yourself a huge round of applause as well. You have been tremendous this evening as always. If you haven't yet, make sure you drop us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and all social media platforms as well, because we massively appreciate your support. But I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson and Lee Boyce here this evening for Online Darts, and we'll see you all very, very soon.